Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I want to talk about something very practical, something I have seen from the recruiter side for years, right? And we're gonna talk about how recruiters actually read your CV, why good candidates don't get calls, what kind of emails recruiters respond to, you know, and how to approach the right people without spamming on LinkedIn. So these are the 4 points I want to take a little deep dive into it. So let me start by clearing one very important misunderstanding, right? So yeah, recruiters, don't read CVs the way candidates imagine they do. They don't really sit back, analyze his journey, admire your formatting, or try to understand your potential. That's not because they don't care, but it is because of how actually the hiring works in real life. Let me explain this from recruiter side, right? I'll give you a recruiter context first, right? So before your CV is opened, this is what already happening on the recruiter side. So they are handling multiple open roles simultaneously. Hiring managers are chasing them for the updates. Each role may have 200 to 300 applications. Timelines are tight and priorities keep changing. So, the recruiter's job is not to find the right CV, right? Their job is to find the fastest possible good enough match, right? And this is a hard truth, and this is a really very important one, right? Hiring is not about reducing risk and saving time, and not discovering hidden talent, right? So once you understand this, CV shortlisting start making sense to you, right? Now, if I'll take to this conversation to a next level, so what a recruiter is actually asking while opening your CV, right? So when a recruiter open your CV, they are not asking for is the person talented, is the person hardworking, or does this person have potential, right? But instead of that, what they generally check is, first, does this profile, what they are looking for, matches the role in the first glance, right? So in the first few seconds, recruiter look for alignment. They check for your current role title, your previous role titles, right? The industry you have worked in, your total years of experience, your current compensation, right? And yeah, sometimes location, right? And if this alignment is not clear, the CV feels risky and the risk is mostly avoided, right? Second thing is, um, if I can see or if I can tell you, if I'm a recruiter, so I can see that can I confidently explain this CV to the hiring manager, right? And this is a big one, right? And almost no candidates think about this. So when a recruiter asks themselves that if the hiring manager asks me why I shortlisted CV, can I explain it in one sentence? So if your CV story is complicated or maybe unclear or scattered, the recruiter hesitates, right? And this hesitation usually leads to, let's park this profile for now, right? And for now often becomes never, right? What next? I mean, maybe I can look for, or recruiter can look for, let's say, does this CV reduce the effort, right? Or maybe increase it, right? So recruiters subconsciously prefer CVs that are easy to scan, use familiar job language, and clearly show relevance. So if a CV requires interpretation, decoding or assumption making, it increases recruiters' effort, right? And when recruiters are overloaded, high effort CVs lose their credibility, right? And this has nothing to do with your capability, only with clarity, right? Other than that, we look for, does this candidate, this person look stable and intentional, right? So at a recruiter's lens, we always assess risk signals, like such as very short tenures, random role switches, no visible progression, gaps without explanation. And if these are valid, the CV must address them subtly, right? And if it doesn't, the recruiter doesn't, reject you consciously. They don't, they just don't feel confident pushing your profile. And most CVs are scanned, and it's not read, right? So here's what recruiters I usually land on first. One is your job titles. One is the companies that you have worked before, uh, the time that you have spent in the companies, I mean the date or the tenure in the company that you have spent, and keywords related to the role, right? I mean, literally long paragraphs, generic summaries, and responsibilities, heavy contents are skipped initially, right? So if your key information is hidden, it doesn't get seen. And this is why many strong candidates get rejected silently, right? The biggest mistake candidates make, that most CVs are written like, I mean, let's say I want to apply for a job and I'm writing that I am responsible for end-to-end activities, including recruitment and operations and payroll and compliance, etc., etc., etc. From a recruiter's perspective, this is nothing, right? It doesn't enter, it doesn't answer at what scale, for what company, what kind of company that you have done this, at what context, what and with what impact. Recruiters are not impressed by responsibilities. They are reassured by relevance and clarity. And what recruiters actually look for, you know, recruiters look for patterns and not perfection. So the patterns like similar rules in similar environments, gradual growth, maybe the skill depth in one direction, predictability sometimes, right? And why predictability? Because predictable profiles are easier to sell internally, right? So recruiters are middlemen, right? They need to convince hiring managers quickly, and your CV that they are going through should make that easy. And the honest truth, candidates need to hear. So if your CV is not working, it is usually not because you lack skills, you lack effort, you lack intelligence. It's because your CV doesn't communicate, communicate your value in the recruiter's language. And the recruiter language is fast, risk adverse, pattern based, and outcome focused. Once you align with this, with that reality, callbacks, I'm sure like the callbacks will improve, right? So the next time when you apply for a job, remember this: your CV is not a biography, right? It is not a story of your life. It is a decision making document. Its job is simple, right? What is the job? Reduce recruiters' doubt, increase recruiters' confidence, and make shortlisting easy, right? So these are the things that I want to cover in how recruiters actually think when when they read your CV.